Good morning, everyone. This is Stephanie Cates from Merchant Processing Solutions. On our ongoing quest to help businesses get prepared for now reopening of their business, I have brought in Avi, and he is going to tell us about mitigation. And well, you know what? I'm just going to let you talk. So Avi, would you explain who you are and what you do?
Absolutely, Stephanie. Thanks so much. So my name is Avi Genuth. I work with We Dry USA. We're a licensed insured restoration service company based in Southeast Florida. We also do what's called biohazard cleanup, which is very relevant right now given the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. So when it comes to cleaning up, that's really what we're all talking about right now. Once we get businesses back open, you know, people are in a lot of difficult financial straits right now, especially if you own or run a retail business. How do we get people back in the doors? Well, step one is obviously you want to make sure that your staff and clients feel comfortable and safe entering your business. So we do a decontamination process. Now, I'm going to very briefly go over the process and preemptively answer a couple questions. The process is essentially, we have our crew come in, we're in full suits, full body suits, gloves on, full face respirators with what are called P100 filters, which are essentially HEPA filters that can filter out virus particles. So our crews are completely safe. The process is usually a two-step process. Number one is a manual wipe down of what we call touch points. So we would manually wipe down any areas which get a lot of hand traffic, so to speak. Things like doorknobs, light switches, computer, a mouse, keyboard, desk spaces, countertops, shelves and drawers, things like that. Anywhere which you would frequently have a lot of hand physical contact on. Step one is we can manually wipe that down with a product which does kill with 99.97% efficiency any particles, including viruses, bacteria, mold, things like that. The next step is we do what's called a ULV fog, which is essentially using a very similar process. We aerosolize the same type of material and kill any residual particles that are in the air, as well as everything that settles on. So it's essentially using a very fine mist to go through the entire space, kill anything that's in the air, and then obviously this settles on different surfaces, and it's an added benefit to those touch points that we were talking about. Now, the products we use are a couple things. Number one, they're rated by the EPA as a hospital disinfectant cleaner. That's the actual terminology used by the EPA, and that's the standard that the CDC recommends for killing virus particles, meaning the EPA has certified this at that level. That's one step. The second criteria of ours is that there's no residue. We don't want people to come into their office spaces or homes or anything else like that and have to deal with any residue. And three, these are non-toxic. Believe it or not, there are lots of natural things you can use which are, rated by the EPA to be effective at killing microorganisms, but are not toxic. Now, just because they're not toxic doesn't mean that you can breathe it in and you're going to be great. Bleach is technically non-toxic, but I don't think anybody would want to breathe in bleach. We generally don't use bleach. We use a different type of compound. But the downtime is very, very minimal. So when we go in, we do our service based on the size, how many desks, how many shelves. There's a lot of different factors in terms of how long it takes. But the good news is the downtime is usually about 2 hours from the time we finish our treatment until that space is ready to be entered and used again. Now, that's essentially how the service works. Preemptively answering a couple of questions. I'm sorry, go ahead, Stephanie.
Well, so even if your business has been down for 58 days, should you have this been done? Because they say that the virus only lasts for 9 days. So if that's the case, why would I want to have someone come in? Just peace of mind, or can something live past the 58 days?
Right. So I was just reading an article, I think it was from the New England Journal of Medicine, and they were saying that the virus particles can last for anything up to a couple hours to a couple of weeks. I mean, the level of specificity just isn't there yet. So the number one is we don't know exactly how long the virus can exist on surfaces. Number two, this virus especially seems to be pretty resilient. It's very ineffective outdoors because generally speaking, ultraviolet lights blast apart these things. When it's indoors in a climate controlled environment, which basically everything is, especially in South Florida, we're still not 100% sure how long it lasts. So the short answer is we just don't know. Is it likely that there's no virus presence? Possible. But the other question is it possible that there still is some residual particles? And that is entirely possible. I don't believe in fear mongering, so I'm not going to sit there and say, oh my God, you have to do this. It is good, number one, for peace of mind. And another thing that we're offering, we do this no additional charge whatsoever, is during the process, we take still photos as well as video of us decontaminating your space, which can be a great tool for marketing or just to assure your staff and clientele that, hey, we reopened, we hired a professional certified company to do this properly, following all CDC, EPA guidelines, so you can feel comfortable coming back into our space.
So I did this, let's just say I'm ready to open on Monday. I contact you and I come in, and I know it's weekend, but I sometimes, just bear with me. You're going to do it. How often do I need to redo it, especially if I'm a retail establishment that not everybody wears gloves like my paranoia does, and masks and all of that, and glasses, because I don't want people spit in my eye. Leads to new saying, I'll spit in your eye. That could be so how often do we need to kind of get this done again, especially if it's a
right
or something along those lines?
So that's a really difficult question to answer. And the reason for that and that's often the first question I get, is how effective is this process, essentially? How often do I need to do it, being the follow-up? This is essentially threat mitigation. So I can do a treatment and people say, can you guarantee that you kill everything? I say, and I can basically say, if I hermetically seal your location, I do my treatment, then essentially yes, for those brief instances where it's hermetically sealed, which just to be clear, is not possible. You have vents, you have doors and windows opening. The moment that a door opens, the potential that you're introducing, you're not talking about the same space anymore because you're introducing air from the outside. The moment somebody walks in, their potential carrier, whether they're asymptomatic, whether they don't even have it, they just have some particles on their hands or something like that. So the question is in terms of, can we guarantee, unless you're literally on a deserted island in a hermetically sealed area, the short answer is no. Now, how often does this treatment need to be done? It varies based on the business. It varies based on the level of threat. It varies based on, for some people, it's as simple as how comfortable do I want we've done some jobs in residential buildings, for instance. How comfortable do I want my residents to be, or my staff to be, or my clientele to be? So there, again, I know I'm not giving you a lot of definitive answers here.
No, I'm not expecting you to.
Right. But we do offer regular treatments. We have some contracts now where we're doing bi-monthly, basically every other week we'll come in and do a treatment. And the name of the game is threat mitigation. You're basically just, every time you go in, eliminating the potential for that to come in. The first person that walks in, could they potentially be carrier? Yes. So essentially the best we can do is, like I said, threat mitigation as opposed to threat elimination.
School district used to say, janitors will clean, but this is very different. This isn't just cleaning dirty floors or bathrooms, yes, but it's cleaning every doorknob, every drawer, everything within. And so when they talk about schools, and Claudia just sent out an email saying, the Spanish flu had 2 waves. The first wave killed 2-3 million people, or 3 to 5. The second wave killed 20 to 50 million people. And so, when you look at this and you say, the only thing that's going to help us is obviously a vaccine of some sort, and where we're not any closer to that, at least I didn't hear anything. With that being said, this is the new norm. This is the new reality. Schools, professional buildings, unless they're going to keep their employees home, who's going to want to my who's going to want to go to these buildings and work if they're not feeling comfortable? My daughter-in-law works at Cleveland Clinic, and she comes into the garage, closes the door, thank goodness, takes her clothes off, goes through the garage door, which there's a laundry room there, walks into the next room and takes a shower. And then she's ready to see her family. And that's kind of the way people in the medical field have to do it. And I'm beginning to believe that this is something that we're going to have to do more and more.
It's definitely, things will change, things have changed, and I think that there's definitely going to be a significant period of time where there will be a new normal, and we're going to have to adjust to it. I think also, especially when we get back to talking about retail businesses, cafes, restaurants, bars, clothing shops, people want to live. People are stuck. I mean, all of us to some degree or another. I'm working from home today. Most days, actually, I work from home, but people want to get out. They want to go out and have a coffee with their friends. You know, they want to grab a beer. They want to entertain. And I think and I don't want to minimize how difficult this is for business owners who kind of work in that sphere. But I think there's going to be an enormous opportunity once we start opening things up more, and just people are going to want to get out and live. And that's a huge opportunity to basically to maybe not make up for everything, but to bring in, more revenues, and hopefully allow a lot of these businesses, especially the small businesses, to recover.
Well, the same, what does it get? Do the same as you've always done. You get the same as all you got. And
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned that, we think that going to Starbucks and sitting inside and breathing your air without a mask on is going to be the norm. It's not, because if you don't have your mask on, I'm going to yell at you, and we're going to have a coming to Jesus. But I hear what you're saying. So this is, and residential is taken care of the same way. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is exactly correct. We do need an empty space, so the family would have to go out or sit out on the porch or whatever it is. We do our service, same exact process in the sense that we're doing manual wipe downs, and then we're fogging the place out. There are other options that we're not. I mean, that is going to be the standard for every space we do. There's also using specific types of ultraviolet lights in certain instances. In other instances, it might make more sense to use what are called ozone generators that basically create ozone gas that kill pretty much everything in there. We would you do that if need be. It's a little bit, it's dangerous if you don't do it right, which we do, but it's not something we prefer to do. We would much rather do something which is less of a risk, even the slightest risk to anyone. So generally speaking.
So people who have had coronavirus relatives in their home, a parent, a child, well, not so many children, but parents, this is highly recommended for them, correct? I mean, your parent has stayed in his room this time. They haven't left. Well, maybe they had to leave for the bathroom, but they weren't feeling well, but they weren't hospitalized per se. These people do you highly recommend that these people, in order to cut the cycle of reinfecting each other, what does that look like in your mind?
Right, absolutely. So we treat, every time we go to decontaminate a space, we treat it, this is just kind of the standard for safety for my crews. We treat every space we go into as if it's infected 100%. That's just the way we do it, just to protect my crew. If you have a space which had a person that tested positive for the virus, your reasoning behind doing the decontamination is obviously that much more important. Mm-hmm. So my approach to it isn't going to change at all, because like I said, if I go into a building space, no, we didn't have anything, we just want to be 100% certain, I'm going to go into it with the same level of protection as if I go into an assisted living facility, for instance, which we've done a few of, which we have several active cases. We're doing the same thing to make sure that our crews are safe. That being said, if you have someone in your home, it would definitely be advisable just to make sure. And again, it's not just cleaning the floors or doing a wipe down. The wipe down is literally the beginning. After that, it's filling the entire space with this compound, which once aerosolizes, kills anything that's potentially floating around in the air. And then once it settles, killing anything it comes into contact with.
Wow. Well, listen, thank you, Avi. I would love to give you the opportunity to tell your name of your business, how they can get in touch with you, email, whatever you wish to put out there. But I think this is, all of us need to consider doing this, and especially buildings. And I think people like you are going to be at a premium the first few weeks of the reopening. So good luck.
Well, thank you so much.
This may be the last time I see you sitting behind. Although I did understand Broward is going to be reopening bars, restaurants, and some facilities a little bit later than the rest of the state because of the high death toll.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. We're actually, my company is based in Broward. But we service, most of our businesses Tri-County, but we do service the entire state. So we've done a lot of in the center in like the Orlando, Kissimmee area. We've done a lot of business in the Panhandle. So we do service the entire state, and I think it's going to be fits and starts as things open. I think it's going to be a little bit of this, and then maybe another slowdown, and then a little opening up a little bit more, and then maybe cutting it back. So it might be a bit of 2 steps forward, 1 step back for a little bit, and hopefully we'll get businesses back up and running and get people's livelihood back. So just if you do want to contact me, our company is called We Dry USA. Our website is wedryus.com. You can email me directly at Avi, A-V-I, at wedryus.com, or you can reach me on my cell, 954-543-0868. I'd be happy to answer any questions, concerns. We don't charge for giving you a quote. There's no, we don't bother you a million times. We're not going to, we're not going to chase you down. We're just going to present your options, try to be as straightforward and as scientific about this as we possibly can, and give you your options and answer any questions or concerns you may have.
That's wonderful. I apologize, but I have one last question. I was in a meeting over the phone, and some guy IM'd me, directly, because he knows I'm facetious, and so is he. And he said, "How do we know this crap works?" Maybe this guy's a scammer, because is there scams out there? People that say they're going to disinfect or you're not seeing any of that right now. I hate to see it happen, but we all have, what is it? Xfinity, PFL, everybody's telling us that all these scams are happening right now. I just don't know what to believe anymore.
Right. Are there going to be scam artists? I am positive that in any industry, and especially in a time of crisis, there are going to be people out there selling snake oil. I think that's just kind of human nature for people that don't, for unscrupulous people. I think that's just the way it works. Now, in terms of, can we prove that our treatment is effective? The answer is yes, with an asterisk. So for instance, the simplest way to do this, it adds cost to it, but the simplest way to basically prove that we're effective would be actually by doing mold tests. So there's mold everywhere in the environment. There's mold in your house. The question is, when you have a mold problem, is the level of concentration. So for instance, if we were to go into an office space and do a standard mold test, it would show up. It wouldn't be in a dangerous level unless you have a mold problem, but there would be presence of mold spores. What we would do is then do the treatment, do another mold test, and that mold level would go down significantly. Now, what's the connection between mold and the virus? Mold is significantly more resilient than this specific virus. This is called an enveloped virus, which is significantly easier to kill than lots of other viruses, and even more so, way easier to kill than mold. So in terms of proof, yes, if I can show that our mold count has gone down drastically, we could basically then extrapolate from that the virus count would have gone down even more significantly. So there are different tests we can do to prove that what we're doing is effective. It adds time, it adds cost. We're happy to do it. We're happy to facilitate it.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you to do that. But I was just saying, people get skeptic, and so there's
right, as they should. And the shortcut to dealing with that is dealing with licensed, insured. You don't want the guy with the van, with a cardboard, call me for this in the back window. You want to use a company, and you can say, hey, the best thing to do is, hey, let me see your certifications. Let me see your licenses. Let me see do you have insurance? Do you have workman's comp? All those different things that are going to prove that, this is not a fly-by-night. This is not a scam. This is an established company that has done, that has been doing this and knows what they're doing. So, I mean, the proof is not in the pudding, it's in the certifications, and you can ask.
Good job. Well, thank you, Avi. I appreciate it. And we're going to end one more time your name and phone number.
Okay, my name is Avi Genuth, We Dry USA. Email me at avi at wedryus.com, or you can call my cell 954-543-0868, wedryus.com.
Thank you so much, Avi.